Well, hi. We are here with our teaching assistant. He's Mark, and he's from United States. And tonight he's going to answer some questions. From your point of view, do you think there are many differences between the American education and Spanish public education system?
Okay. Yes, I've noticed a few things. I've only seen the system at work here in Jose de Churiguera, and the first thing I notice is the organization is a little different. The schools here are smaller. Depends, of course, which school you're in the United States, but they're generally pretty big and pretty chaotic. And I think that it works pretty well here. We were talking in some of the classes. People were telling me about the division of the years. That's a big difference. That in Spain you have the 6 years. Is that right? Up to about the age 16. And then at 16, that's when ESO ends, right? And then you do bachillerato. And in the United States, it's different. We have a high school for the last 4 years, and it's all compulsory. Let's see, what else? The education is run by states in the United States, so each state kind of determines its own ideas, its own standards for education, and also the funding is done by the state, but then also with federal funding. And I'm not exactly sure how that compares to Spain, but I know also, right, you have education for example, the community of Madrid, and then for all the other different communities. So that's one similarity.
And what about university? Is really expensive to study, have a good education there, or is not expensive at all?
Yeah, we have public schools, and we have private, of course. The private are usually very expensive, and the public are less expensive, but they're still, compared to other countries, compared to Spain, since that's the question, it's still very expensive. So you might pay it varies from the state, but you might pay, somewhere around a few $1,000s per semester, like $3,000. For example, is about University of Houston, which is the big public university in my city. Then the private could be, extremely expensive, and most students, unfortunately, in private and public, graduate with debt. Yeah.
In which university did you study?
The University of Houston. Yeah.
But it was public or private?
It was a public school, yeah.
Thinking of your own experience, how important good public education be in the making of a better society?
Well, I think it's extremely important. I mean, central, especially, of course, because it's the education of the youth, although public education includes all of us, also the adult education. But, for example, I read a quote today by John Dewey, who's famous for promoting like libraries and literacy, and he said that education is not preparation for life, but life itself. And so I kind of think about it. It's not just preparing students for a better society. It's actually, it is actually the society. It's part of our society. And I think the experiences in a good public school system will, that's what makes a good society, because I think it's so, fundamental. It's, the first part, and it stays with you your whole life. So.
And finally, why are you here tonight with us?
Well, I wanted to, of course, help, but also see what you could do or what you have done, which I've been very impressed by, all the things, and also to kind of take part in the workshops. I think it's a great idea. I mean, there's extracurricular activities, but this is kind of extracurricular. So yeah, that's why I'm here, just to kind of to learn from the teachers who are more, you know, who have been here, and also from the students who are making this happen. So,
Viva la noche verde.